Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on wherever you are. Just put my glasses away. Right, today I've got a Jackson Adrian Smith. This one is the American version. Don't know if you can see on the headstock. Try on that camera. Quartersawn maple neck, DiMarzio Super Distortion in the bridge, and an original Floyd Rose. This particular one has got a brass block. I bought this used from Richtone Music, shocker, and whoever had it before me stuck a brass block in it. It's a, as you can see, it's a Strat. I don't normally play Strats because I don't get on with them, because on a normal Strat the volume is there and I end up turning it down. I even do that on my old Kramer Pacer. You can't really turn the volume down on this when you hit it because the volume knob's fairly stiff, which is actually something I don't like. I prefer to have the volume where I can roll on and off really easy, but you've got quite a lot of resistance on this. And it's really the only bitch about this guitar that I've got. It weighs about £8, so it's not super light, but it's not massively heavy. It's got a really nice C-shaped neck on it. Not too fat, not too thin. It's not a shreddy neck. The neck on these has graphite rods to stiffen it as well. That being said, I've had this about 6 months now. I know it's I'm only just getting on to do a video on it. I've had it about 6 months, and the neck did move a bit, but it's not really a problem because it's got the new truss rod wheel there, which you can just stick an Allen key in there, turn it quarter a turn, and it's all done. No getting up there or even taking the neck off you like you used to have to do with the older Fender guitars. And yeah, it's a workhorse guitar. I can see why Adrian did it like this. It's got, like I said, DiMarzio Super Distortion and bridge, 2 DiMarzio single coils, which I don't use because when you switch to them, you've got such a loss in volume from between that Super Distortion and say if you go onto the neck. I know like it's supposed to clean up your tone, but the loss in gain is so much that the guitar just drops out if you're playing in a live situation. Even if I'm playing just in ear practicing, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. So if I were to mod this, which I'm not, I'd stick a mini humbucker in the bridge and just drop that middle one out of the way. Volume, tone, and a 5-way switch, and that's about. Oh yeah, it's got massive. I don't know if you can see. It's got absolutely huge jumbo frets on it. Today I'm playing through my Line 6 Helix, which is it's going straight into. I've got one output coming out of there into a small Yamaha monitor, which is like set up FRFR, and the other outputs going into my Allen and Heath mixing desk, which I'm just recording on a flat EQ. Because it's in the room and I'm not very loud because I don't want to blow the windows out and wind the neighbours up. When I turn the guitar up, it's still quite a deep tone. It's quite muddy. I'm hoping when it's recorded straight into the desk, it'll have actually what is nearer to my live sound. On On the Helix, I've got a patch that's basically an Iron Maiden-ish patch. Which is, it's a JSM 800, the 2204 version of it that's in, which is the oldest one in the Helix. I've got a Minotaur, a clon in front of it just to bring the top end out a bit. And the mic that it's using is, I think it's 421. Yeah, 421 dynamic mic at a distance of 1 inch, wheel low cut at 80. That's it. The 4x12 is just a 4x12 with green, a Marshall 4x12 with greenbacks. Nothing, no massive trickery in it. No, there's an EQ taking the bottom end off, and there's a compressor that don't really do much either. I've got it set really sort of light. So it's basically a GSM 800 with a pedal in front of it. Now I played the older not the older version, I played the imported version of this, and I've got to be honest with you, these are they're about 2,500 quid. You can pick them up for 23 on Anderton's at the minute, brand new. They've got one on there, but it's the one with the ebony fretboard. Apart from that, it's the same guitar, I think. The import version that's made in either Indonesia or China, it's under 500 quid, and it's such good value for money. Obviously there are differences. It won't have a quartersawn neck like this. The wood won't be as good. It won't be assembled quite so much. This, you can tell this has had somebody's hands on it. You know, when it's been assembled, somebody's actually put this together with a reasonable amount of care, and they've not been on the clock so much as, say, somebody in a Far East country would be. But that isn't to say that if you got one of the import models, took it to a decent luthier in the UK, if there were any problems with it, because sometimes you get them off the shelf and they're perfect, but if there were any issues, you could take it to a decent luthier in the UK, and it might not play any different from this. When I got this, the action was fairly high on it, so I dropped it down so it was decked, and you can drop the action really low on this. It's got a compound radius fretboard, and I was at the point where I had to bring the action back up because my fingers were slipping off. It was so easy to play, and a few of my friends who played it were, after they took the piss out of me because they think it's hilarious that I bought the Adrian Smith guitar when I'm in an Iron Maiden tribute band and I play Dave Morris parts. So according to Lee, who's the other guitarist, I should give this to him because it's him that plays the Adrian Smith parts. Apart from Wasted Years, I play the Adrian Smith part on Wasted Years, but the rest of it I do all Dave Morris. But yeah, great guitar, workhorse. I think it's one of the cheapest American Jacksons you can buy as well. I paid £1,400 for this used. I wasn't actually looking for one. I was just looking on the used section of Richtone Music in Sheffield, which I do most days. And I'd promised my wife I wasn't going to buy another guitar, which I must say all the time, and it gets broken quickly. And she was looking over my shoulder, and at first she went, "No, you can't have it. You've said you're not having another guitar until we've sorted the bathroom and the kitchen and the other shit we need doing in the house." So I left it. And she come back, she says, "Yeah, but you know, because you're in an Iron Maiden tribute band, you should have an Iron Maiden guitar. So I think you may be best buying that." So my wife actually talked me into buying this, as she has with many of my guitars. Sometimes she pretends that, oh, I'm a pain in the arse, and you know, I'm always buying guitars. But a lot of the time, I'm encouraged by her. Now, if you ask some of my friends, they think she's the very best of wives, you know, but which I do agree, because I've got friends who've got wives who hate guitars and they hate guitar shops and they are sick of seeing guitars and they do not get encouraged to buy guitars, whereas my wife actively encourages me to buy guitars. She'll quite often see a guitar and go, oh, that's nice. But anyway, Jackson Adrian Smith. The main differences, as I can see, I've digressed quite a bit, haven't I? The main differences that I can see from this and the import version, because I've played quite a few of the import versions and they're brilliant, you know. If they'd have not had this in, I'd have probably bought an imported one by now and just put a real Floyd Rose on it, or an original Floyd Rose. But the main differences that I can see is the pickups. This has got DiMarzio in it, although some other iterations of this have got Seymour Duncans. I've seen a couple of older versions of these that have got Seymour Duncan JBs in the bridge. And obviously the imported version's got either the cheaper Floyd Rose, it might be a 1000, it might not. And the electrics in this are pretty expensive. Well, I won't say expensive, because a decent volume port costs less than 20 quid, so it's not really expensive. But they've got the cheap rubbish electrics in them that are, you know, the really thin wiring and the tiny little pots. So there are obvious differences, but whether those obvious differences come up to 2,000 quid's worth of difference, I very much doubt it. Me personally, if I'd have bought the cheap one, it would have bugged me eventually, especially if I saw one of these. Whereas, even if I don't play this all the time, because I play my ESP mostly, I'll still keep it and still be happy owning an American Jackson Adrian Smith. So it could end up going stacked up in the corner in its case and not getting touched. Speaking of the case, it comes in a moulded SKB case, very similar to the EVH cases, but it's got Jackson embossed on it, like you would expect, because you'd expect a guitar that's over $2,000 to come with a decent hardshell case. Although now a lot of the time they just stick them in gig bags, don't they? If that, I've seen the Japanese Jacksons. And some of them seem to come with like semi-hard shell cases, and some of them don't. And you can pick up Chinese guitars, or I won't say you can pick up, but they're now selling new Chinese guitars that are getting on for 1,500 quid, even more, and they just come in a box. You know, so I paid 1,400 quid for this, and yeah, it's used. If I were to go to Richtone Music with 1,400 quid looking for a new guitar, I'd probably have to buy something that was either made in Mexico, Indonesia or China. Whereas this is an American-made guitar with all the bells and whistles, all the proper hardware on it. And it's lost all its money. That's why I don't buy new guitars now. Because let's be honest, they're like cars. As soon as you take them out of the showroom, you've lost a fortune. You know, if you bought a brand new one of these and took it and paid $2,500 for it, took it back to say Richtone Music or Anderton's or Guitar, wherever you bought it, and say if you've had it a couple of weeks, it's not got a mark on it, and you go, oh, I want to trade it in, I'm not getting enough for it, you'd lose more than half the value. You'd probably lose 1,500 quid. You know, if you were lucky, you'd get $1,000 for it, and they'd sell it for 14, which is what I bought this for. So, you know, I don't know how much Richtone will give the guy who traded this in. I mean, maybe if you watch this video, you can comment on it. Anyway, Jackson Adrian Smith. Out of interest, I will go through some of the other pickup settings. This is my dirtiest setting, but I'll do it anyway. Not sure what the middle is. It's all the lot, I think. Right. That's number 2 position. Okay, I think that's those two. I don't think there's a coil tap on this or a coil split on the humbucker, which would make sense. I can't see Iron Maiden needed to do that. Okay, I'll put it on a clean setting. And clean, I can't tell a great deal of difference. Obviously that sort of. Okay, plexi-ish. Right, that's a... Okay, that's just a plexi with the 4x12 with greenbacks and a 421 condenser mic on it. And which one is it? The Minotaur on the line 6, which is a clon in it. No effects. It rolls off pretty well, which is something I always look for in guitars. Stick it on the Considering that this patch on the Helix is the JSM 800 and it's pretty screamy, I really should have warmed up before I turned cameras on today. I'm a bugger for that. You get all these YouTubers that are great guitar players, and I know before they turn the camera on they'll do all the warm-ups and everything, so they're on the top of the game. I never do that, so that's why my playing's a little bit shitter than it normally is when I hit the record. But I'm here to sort of demo the gear and not show off. And you know, you could, I've thought about this before, you know, where you get the really sort of popular YouTubers that come across as good players. Yeah, I often wonder how many takes some YouTubers do, you know, with a really flashy playing, because they don't want to put something out where they're fucked up. I don't really care because I want to demo the gear rather than do a YouTube channel going piece of brilliant guitar player, because everybody knows I'm not, and I just get laughed at anyway. So I'd rather just demo the gear. Yeah, another thing, I was going to test it through this angle, but the problem is to record the angle, you've got to turn it up a bit, and essentially this is quite a small room, so even on the low power you've got to put the volume up past halfway, and it's, you know, like I say, even on the low power it's loud. So in a house, in a spare room of a house, it's not really that feasible. I've done it a couple of times, as you can see on my previous videos, and maybe I'll do it again. I'll go and have a word with the neighbours one day and say, look, do you mind an hour while I just turn my guitar amp up? But to mic it up, you've got to, I don't think to mic it up really well you can have it on the low setting. You need some power going through the speakers for an SM57 to pick up enough volume. Fair enough, the camera mic will pick it up, that shotgun mic, because that'll pick up a whisper, but still, it's better to have, you know, a mic'd up cab. That's why I've gone using the Helix today, because obviously it's a simulated cab, simulated mic'd up cab, and I can sort of set the gain on the desk. I'm not sure what the recorded Helix is going to sound like yet. I'm hoping it doesn't sound as muddy as it does through that speaker, because obviously the volume's down. If I turn the speaker up, it'll obviously open up, but again, I don't want to annoy the neighbours. Anyway, here it is, Jackson Adrian Smith. I'll do a video of the case as well, so you can see what that's like, but it's like the EVH case. It's what you'd expect from an American Jackson guitar. Yeah, Jackson Adrian Smith. Alder body, quartersawn maple neck, jumbo frets, DiMarzios, proper Floyd Rose. And it is a beast. Yeah, it's a beast. 1,400 quid. Bought used from Electro Music. Electro Music, God. I didn't buy it from Electro Music, that closed years ago. That's where I used to go all the time. No, I bought it for 1,400 quid. I nearly said 14,000 quid then. I bought it for 1,400 quid from Richtone Music in Sheffield. And I think for a guitar of this calibre, made in America, it's an absolute bargain, because it's like new as well. There's so many guitars I've bought from Richtone that have been like new, and I've basically got 1,000 quid off them, just because somebody's had them, then not got off, you know, got on with them that well. But I can't see me flipping this, because I'm a massive Iron Maiden fan, so I'll keep it just for the Iron Maidenness of it. And I'll use it at some gigs, because I'm in two bands, and one's a metal band that does all Iron Maiden, Metallica, stuff like that, and the other's a pop band where we do stuff like, if I turn it on, that's Madonna, if you don't know. I wouldn't expect most of my viewers to know Madonna's song, or other. There's another one that. Apparently that's called Shut Up and Dance, and I'd never heard the song before in my life. But my daughter, who obviously knows, she's more down with the kids than me, obviously. I was watching a covers band a couple of years ago, and they were playing that song, and I'm like, what the bloody hell's this? And my daughter and her mates are like, what, have you never heard that? And everybody was dancing to it, so we put it in our pop covers band set, and it is massively popular. It's sometimes I've got no idea how the songs I've never heard, that there's the obvious ones like ABBA and stuff, and they're all popular, but I also use it for stuff like Beat It or Danger Zone, because I can dive on the bar. Yeah, that's something I didn't I didn't really mention this. Yeah, the bar's really stable. You can deck it. Yeah, and it'll come straight back in tune. It's a bit like my Kramer for that, because my Kramer never goes out of tune. I've not really had any tuning issues with this, apart from we did a gig a few weeks ago and it was boiling. It was like 30 odd degrees, and the heat kept sending it out. But that would, I think, you know, the strings were stretching and all sorts. I had to keep using my ESP. But yeah, normally on this the tuning stability is absolutely solid. And it's got a bit of the built like a tank thing about it. I think you could knock this about a bit and it'll be all right. It needs cleaning though. I've had it a few months and I've not cleaned it very often. But yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's nice to be back. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe on your way out. Cheers. One thing I didn't cover in the main video was this. I've seen a lot of people complain, saying that Jacksons should ROM that off and make it more accessible down the bottom. It don't bother me much, because you can still get down there. And fair enough, it's not that comfortable, but how much time do you spend out there? You know, when you're playing a gig, you know. Another thing I like about this as well is it ain't got 24 frets. I should have covered this in the main video, but I didn't. But yeah, it seems that every other guitar with a Floyd Rose you get these days has 24 frets, and I can't play 24 fret guitars. My hands just end up in the wrong place. But this, yeah, it's perfect. It's for somebody who's not really a Strat player, it works perfectly for me.